it's finally happened. Someone from Trent will now speak in front of a room full of debaters for 5 minutes after 4 rounds of an IB. It's not entirely in the way I expected or hoped. But, in all honesty, this is like trying to be funny for 5 minutes is considerably less daunting than like speaking on like IR or politics or philosophy. So, meh, we'll roll with it. I mean, so I'll eschew the normal talks of Knesset, schnods, and deontology, and instead talk about my life growing up in the mean streets of Newcastle, maybe a proper tough Geordie lad like, and also my time living in what is known as the red light district of Nottingham. But we'll move on to the red light district later. What I'll start with first is, similar to Elliot earlier, the time someone attempted to mug me. I emphasise the attempted. You'll see why soon. So, I was 10, walking to school, was ready for the day ahead. It was lovely. It was a lovely day, sun's in the sky. I was like ready to learn about maths and science and English, and not debating at that point. I was not quite indoctrinated. And I walked through a park on the way to school, and literally out of the bushes, a man came, and like he must have been. Yes, I say a man. He was 16, but to the 10-year-old self, he was quite the man. I was like, oh. He's like a foot taller than me, this is terrifying. And he said to me, "How me? Give me your wallet." I was like, I'm sorry? He's like, "Give us your wallet, mate." I'm like, oh, okay. And like, sort of thing, I looked down, and in a moment of what I can only describe of Sherlock levels of deduction, I noticed something. What do I notice, you may ask? Well, I noticed this man, not like myself today, was wearing very baggy jeans. This is important to the attempted number. So, I realised, I don't know how I realised this, again, Sherlock levels of deduction, I think, this man cannot run in these jeans. So, in my 10-year-old brain I go, I'm in school trousers. I can, in fact, run in these trousers. So, I make a value judgment. Even then I was readying for debating. I think I can outrun this guy. So, I like start to reach down, and then I turn, suddenly, and I start running. I'm running, and like behind me, I kind of just hear the start of footsteps, and then a thud. And then just a muffled, fuck! And I carry on running for like a few seconds, and then I risk a glance behind me. And I see him, face down, on the floor, his jeans around his ankles, struggling to stand up. And I just kind of go, well, this is brilliant. And carry on running out of the park. I then do what any irresponsible citizen would do. I call the police, because I don't want someone else to become victim of this, frankly, quite pathetic mugger. So I ring the police, and police, and they're like, hey, he goes like, hello, can you report your problem? He was more Geordie than that, but I've done enough Geordie, and I feel like Heather will get angry if I keep doing it. So, he kind of says to me, and I go, I recount the story of the crime, much the same as I did in this case. Maybe try to do less funny at times. I was still in somewhat shock, And he kind of pauses and goes, "Okay, give me a second." I hear muffled shuffling behind him, sort of thing, for like about 30 seconds. I hear the occasional. I hear one go like, "What?" And then kind of he gets like, kind of gets back on the phone. He goes, "Hi, sorry, can you just repeat that for me?" I then recount my tale once more. And I then hear laughter on the other end of the phone, as if a whole room full of people has been listening into this, and it sounded equally funny. And he kind of goes, "Thanks for that, mate. That has made our morning. We'll send someone round. Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine." I then, as you do, merrily walk my way to school thinking, I have got the best anecdote ever for school. When you walk into the common room and everyone's like, "Oh, how was your journey to school?" Because that's the boring conversation you start with apparently at school. Everyone's just like, "Oh, it's fine, I saw a bird." And oh, it was fine, my bike tire got a bit flat. That was exciting. I was like, "Oh, you think that's exciting? Well, I will tell you my tale." So yeah, and that was a fun story. My second story is also from the mean streets of Newcastle, and I was a bit of a ragamuffin when I was younger. I was a bit of a scallywag. I was an angry child. And one kid who was in RE, the most fraught of lessons, and a child threw a rubber at my head. I was not having that. I was like, "Oi, don't be throwing rubs at my head." he was like, oh, what are you going to do about it? And I was like, well, see me outside after school, we'll see what I'll do about it. Now, this sounded really tough at the time. I'd never had a fight before. I did not know how to fight. I realised afterwards you kind of like, all right, I will then. Again, being a little bit Geordie there, Heather, I'm sorry, sort of thing. He was like, all right, I will then. I was like, okay then, fine. I couldn't back out at this point. I'd gone too far, sort of thing. So I was just like, right, fuck, I've got till the end of the day to learn to fight. I now like imagine there was some kind of Rocky like montage of me attempting to learn to fight in this time. You know, like punching, I don't know, like a bin because that's what it was at school. You know, like doing pull-ups on monkey bars. I say that we didn't have monkey bars. I think the closest thing we had like the bike sheds that had like a hand. So doing pull-ups on those, and then failing at pull-ups because I was 10 and a bit fat, and that was hard to do a pull-up at that point. You know, doing that kind of thing. And then got to the end of the day. You know, I was like, right, well, I can't just run away. My name will be mud forever. I can never return to the school. And you know, I've got GCSEs to do, so you know, how else am I going to get to university and do debating? Like, come on. So I kind of get to the end of school, and like he's there as well. And you know, we both look at each other. There's a small crowd forming as children. The chant starts: fight, 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 fight. I'm like, okay, I've never been in a fight before. I then look at the other guy's eyes, and I recognise something. I recognise the same fear in his eyes. And we both share a moment of almost telepathic understanding, where we both go, we've never had a fight before, either of us. So, we, I think, devolve into what we've seen in films of fights, where we start circling each other. So kind of like, just kind of like, you know, fists out, ready. This goes on for about a minute. You know, we're just circling each other. At this point, I think like kind of people are starting to get a bit restless. Like the chance of fight has stopped, and it's kind of got onto more of my like, just fucking punch him, or for fuck's sake, this is rubbish. I've gone Yorkshire. Apparently I know what it's called in Yorkshire. I'm better at Yorkshire, I swear. Like that's the accent I can do. I can't do Geordie, I can do Yorkshire. Yorkshire, lovely, really easy. You just kind of forget consonants exist. Apart from the odd consonant, where you make it very clear you pronounce that consonant. Just so you know, you're not forgotten about them. You're choosing not to say them. That's how you Yorkshire. So, I'm going to do the lessons in Yorkshire now. We've moved school. So, the fight is, this is how epic this fight is. We've moved to Yorkshire. It's crazy. So, you know, at this point we both realise we need some action. We need to placate the crowd. We need to, like, show them that we're hard men. We're tough. We're Yorkshire men. So, you know, he throws the first punch. He hits me in the ear. I've never been hit in the ear before. It bloody hurts. Have you ever been hit in the ear? You know, it just... I was like, bloody hell, that really hurt. I was like, right, I'm going to punch him back. I reel back, I get ready, I punch him right in the forehead. It really bloody hurts. If anyone's ever punched anyone in the forehead, it fucking wrecks. Like, I was just like, oh my god, my hand hurts so much. Why does anyone do this? Why does anyone fight ever? Can't we all just get along? Peace and love forever. So at this point, I think we both realised punching other people really hurts. Why the fuck are we doing this? All he did was throw a rubber at me. This should have just ended. How do we let it escalate to this point? You know, like this is like bloody World War II of the playground. This is awful. The rubber was checked to the back here. This is fucking Passchendaele or something. I mainly seen World War I. I didn't do that well in history. But so we kind of just like grappling for a bit. It possibly looks a bit homoerotic from the outside, to be honest. I mean, like, none of us know how to fight. It kind of descends into a few punches, and then we kind of both do the manly thing, where, you know, you put your arm around the other person, like, beat them on the chest, just like, oh, it's over, honour restored, it's fine. And everyone kind of goes, well, that was shite. And I kind of realised that schoolyard fights are actually really boring, because no one knows how to fight, people just pretend they do. And actually, even chanting, fight, 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 doesn't work unless like people are professional boxers, in which case chanting fight is quite applicable. Anyway, right, I have one more story, and this comes from the previously mentioned my time living in what is known as the red light district of Nottingham, which is ironically called Hyson Green. You see, because red and green, they're both colours, and like, yeah, you see? That, yeah, there's jokes, right? It's comedy, yo. But yeah, so, I've been out on a night out, you know, I'm a bit drunk, I'm staggering home, I think I had Arctic Monkeys playing on my iPod, I was bopping along, walking home, and this woman crosses my path. And I just kind of like, I nod at her, and she nods back at me. And then she turns to me and says one word in a way that I've never heard such a word used before. And my drunk brain couldn't quite comprehend. She just turns to me and goes, "Business?" and in my drunk state, I'm kind of thinking, what business could you conduct at this time of night? I mean, this hardly seems the time for some kind of like stock deal. You know, the stock market is closed. You know, I mean, even Tesco's closed. I love the stock market. So my response is just like, "I'm sorry?" And she goes, and then she, at this point, repeats the word business, but this time when she says the word business, she slightly opens her coat and goes, "Business?" And like, underneath there was like still just like kind of quite a lot of layers. It was quite cold. So I was like unsure still entirely what this business was, but I was starting to get an inkling this might be business of the physical nature. Now, thankfully, I was not interested in such business. So I responded in the most British way possible. My response was, "No thank you, but I very much appreciate the offer." At this point, she kind of looks at me, I don't know if disappointed is the right word, but almost she kind of looks me up and down and just shrugs and goes, "Meh," and then walks off. I'm still not entirely sure if it was like a prostitution thing, a midnight rendezvous thing, or she just found me particularly attractive. I know. How could she not like this, like, model of a man? But yeah. I wasn't wearing the purple jeans at the time, so it must have been impossible she could, like, find this figure attractive, because without these I'm nothing. Nothing! But no, so that's the story of my time living in the red light district of Nottingham. It was an invigorating time. It was interesting. You know, you see many fascinating sights, sort of thing. My favourite one was when I was walking home again, and a Polish guy comes up to me. This was in the Polish area of Nottingham, because there's like the street has many different areas. It kind of goes from Poland to the Middle East, to India, to Jamaica. It's very multicultural. But this Polish guy comes up to me, and he asks me the time. And I look at him, and he's wearing 2 wristwatches. And I kind of go, "What, you're wearing 2 watches?" And he goes, "Yeah, but what's the time?" And I look at my phone, and give him the time, and I kind of go, "Oh, it's like 2:30. And he looks at his watches, and just goes, "No." And then walks off. And I'm just like, what? My only assumption is that he is either a time traveller, or I'm a time traveller and just don't know it. I'm gonna go with the latter and like go off my TARDIS right now. You've been absolutely lovely, thank you very much.